What's happening? Everybody, welcome. Today is Thursday. It is April 27th, 2023. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup. Starting a few minutes late, I apologize. It's what happened. Who is here? Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Jenny. How are you? How are you all? How was your Wednesday? Was it a good day? What did you do? How about today? Is it going to be a good day? What will you do? Hopefully you'll check out the new episode of Martial Arts Radio. We'll talk about that in a moment. Hopefully you had some good stuff on the calendar yesterday, on the log, if you will. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Dennis. Stacy says, happy all-in weekend eve. That's right. All-in weekend starts tomorrow. Some of you will be there. Some of you will not. And that makes me sad. But it's okay. Because life throws us curveballs, doesn't it? We think something's going to happen one way, and then we go, oh, that. Or this, or them, or there. And you adjust. You adapt. You move on, because it's all you can do. Frank says, I got lots of movement at work yesterday. That's awesome. Jenny says, Wednesday was a good day. Had some beautiful time outside with Lilith and got some items cleared for my to-do list in prep for all-in weekend. Nice. And I think... let me check. We have a team meeting this evening for those of you on the core team. Yeah. Be a little bit later night than I wanted, but that's okay. I slept well last night. Stacy, if this is true, this is news to me. So maybe this happened late last night. If that's the case, remember we need communication on things so we can make arrangements. So, what did I do yesterday? Went to the office. I got to the office early because I had a bunch of meetings and I needed to get things squared away early. So I left the house like 7:15. 7:20, which is very early for me to leave. Got to the office, and well, I'm not thankful when meetings get canceled. There was somebody I was going to meet with that said, look, this just isn't going to happen today. And it opened up my day in a way that just made me so much more productive, and some really good stuff happened. I rolled out a new shirt. Did you see it? It's out there. Came out kind of cool. I think you should check it out. It's at whistlekick.com. If you go to the news section, you'll find it. Along with the new edition of the Dragon hoodie. And Stacy, remember what we need, and just in case this for the future or anything. If someone's taking your spot, we need to hear directly from the person whose spot it is and the person who is taking the spot. Like, we need to do that to close the loop. Otherwise, it creates a rash of potential problems. So, Stacy, I need to hear from you in an email saying it's this person, and this person needs to communicate with us directly. It cannot go through somebody else. So, here's the new Dragon hoodie. For the first time ever, 3 colors. And we've launched with this black, white, and gray, kept it simple. Here's the real different part this time. This pattern in the hood. If you look closely, what do you see? You see a belt, throne star, the Whistle Kick logo, and the letters WK. Jenny says, I'm saving my allowance for that hoodie. Nice. Yeah. I'm proud of how it came out. So this one's mine. I got the first one. We sold a few yesterday. I think it was yesterday, last Tuesday night and Wednesday. We sold a few. People seem to dig it. We're doing this one as a launch at basically $10 off what the price is really going to be. So I know some of you will wait for colors. We will do a few colors. We will not do custom colors. I will probably never do that again. That was a nightmare. But we'll do 2 to 3 other color sets, but it'll be a month or two. Honestly, it probably won't be until the fall because people aren't buying hoodies over the summer. So we are a US-centric company. Good morning, Brian. Brian says, I was on yesterday's stream by accident for a moment. Ha! That's funny. Thank you, Stacy. Apologies not needed, but thank you. It's especially when we're this close to the event, there's no space for us to chase things down. I appreciate your understanding. So let's talk about today's episode. Today's episode of Martial Arts Radio 809. It's so weird that we're talking about numbers this large, but we titled it Conversations on Kicking because it's a couple different things. It is about kicking and how you get better at kicking. We talk about Andrew's, at the time we recorded it, upcoming Superfoot test, which maybe you don't know Andrew really well. He passed. He did a phenomenal job. He made a dramatic shift from where he was when we started working together on this to when he tested. I was super proud of him. Oh, interesting. Well, I'm not sure why it would do that. Frank, that sounds great. I love it. So we talk about kicking. We talk about Andrew getting ready for his test. And we talk about the Kick Clinic program and what it means and what makes a kick. What are all the components to a kick? And I don't just mean, the 4 steps or the 6 steps. I mean balance, flexibility, strength, endurance, accuracy. There was another one. Speed. And as you work on those, your kicks get better. And so we talk about how I developed Kick Clinic and how it brings in those elements and everything. So it is, as we often do when we roll out something new, we talk about it on an episode, but it's not just a commercial. We talk about what you can do. Signing up for Kick Clinic is just one of those things. And in case you are unfamiliar, if you would like to sign up for Kick Clinic, you can do that at whistlekick.com. Go to the programs and training section. And you can use the code FirstCup15 to save money on it. Stacy says, I can't wait for you to hit episode 1000. That will be one big old celebration. Yeah, it will. Less than 2 years. There's a podcast I listen to, and they're at 3,600. 12 years, 14 years that the show's been going, and it's a daily. It's 5 days a week. So, yeah, 200 and something. Let's see, we'd have 100, so call it 350 episodes a year. Yeah, 3,600, 38, something like that. I remember when it turned 1,000. I've been listening for that long. I've been on it twice, actually. So today I have a number of meetings, but not as many as some Thursdays. So I'm kind of stoked about that. There's a bunch of work I'm going to be able to get done. I've started putting together some stuff for All In Weekend. There's a pile brewing. This will go in the pile. And actually, I want to go back now that I'm starting to wake up a bit more. This pattern. So let me tell you the story on this pattern. I don't know if I'm going to talk about this much elsewhere, but so this pattern might look somewhat familiar to you. not as Whistlekick, but just as something. So here's what happened originally. If you saw the gear bag that we rolled out, I think this was at the end of 2021, the blue dragon duffel, which we then did a co-branded version with somebody, some that most of you know. There, if you look closely, there is very subtly the Whistlekick logo in a pattern form all over the bag. I noticed that and I said, wait a second. This reminds me of luxury brands like Coach or Louis Vuitton and what they put on stuff sometimes, right? They've got a pattern that they use. And so I started looking around and noticing that. And I subscribe. Here's a fun kind of inside baseball thing for all of you. I subscribe to a lot of emails and marketing messages because I want to see what certain brands are doing. One of the big ones is Coach. Coach has done a wonderful job of having both their very, very expensive things and a Coach outlet line, which is a lower budget line, lower quality, more, there's some interesting stuff. And they're going after people who want the world to think that they have money. That's really the heart of it. And one of the things that all these brands have is a pattern. And so I came up with the idea and floated it to a couple of people. I was like, this is what I'm thinking. They're like, that sounds kind of cool. So I tried to work it, get people on Fiverr to make it. I think I tried 3 or 4 times. The first time, nobody came through with anything that, because you put out a request. It's like, I want to do this. And nobody came through with anything that was in the budget I was willing to do. And then the second time, Fiverr took it down because whether it was an automated thing or some person thought I was trying to somehow rip off the Louis Vuitton. I was using the Louis Vuitton imagery as an example. I said, I want something like this. They took it down. They said it violated their standards. I don't know what. But I put it back up with a slightly higher budget and still didn't get anybody. And I said, fine, I'll do it myself. For those of you who've been around a little bit, the title of my pending autobiography. Pending title of my pending autobiography. And it took a couple weeks for me to have both the inspiration and the time, and had a few different versions. And once I figured out a way to do it that didn't take a ton of time, I was making improvements and made a few changes, shared it with a few people along the way, and finally settled on this. Because original couple versions, some of the elements were too close to each other. The very first version somehow left out the Whistlekick logo, which is so silly. I looked at it and I was like, wait a second. The Whistlekick logo's not here. One of the versions, the throwing star, was too big and it encroached on the other elements. So there we go. We now have what I think of as our luxury pattern. And we will be putting this on other things. I'm going to do a new version of the gear bag that has that pattern. And we will see where it takes us. Nick says, that's usually my baseline. I think you mean mood, but I replace fine with another F word. Actually, the other F word is literally what I think I'm going to make the autobiography someday. I'll do it myself. Not because I always want to. In fact, I used to want to. I used to avoid help. But now there are just times when people can't see into my head and it's frustrating. And so my graphic skill is not great. I had to figure out how to do that in a way that wasn't going to take hours. And I did. And it was interesting because some of the people pushing back, they were trying to get me to spend more money. If they had seen the method I used to make that, it would have been worth less than half of what I was offering. Good morning, Nathan. Dropped a Patreon note yesterday talking about the 3 different podcast episodes I recorded on Tuesday, as well as giving you just an upcoming list of all those episodes. I'm hoping to get to audio and video today. I want to do some audio and video for Patreon. Been doing TikTok almost every day. If you're not following me on TikTok, you can at Jeremy Lesniak. And I'll come home. I'm going to try to go to CrossFit today. We'll see what happens. I'll pack for it. I'm planning for it. I got to check what the workout is, make sure it works with my body. And yeah. So let us switch gears. Frank, I'm assuming, sent things over because he always does, because he takes good care of me. Thank you to Frank for all your work on the show. Thank you to Josh for our theme song. Thank you to Denise for the audio. Where are we? Here we go. We have 3 quotes here from 2 different people. I forget. This group of authors had a way that they were collectively referred to, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It might come to me. Frank, that is a funny title. I like that. All righty, come on. Here we go, and we go here. It's the beauty within us that makes it possible for us to recognize the beauty around us. The question is not what you look at, but what you see. Henry David Thoreau. The way we see ourselves definitely has an impact on the way we see the world, doesn't it? If we've been through something, maybe it's something harsh. We might see the world in a cynical way. We might think the world is like that all the time for everyone. I was talking to someone recently who found out I went to Mexico a couple months ago, and their first response was to be absolutely terrified, because this person is absolutely terrified of the world. I then explained where I went and the things that I did to maintain safety. But it really didn't matter. They saw the world from a position of fear. But it can also be the other way. If you're someone for whom things go well, you'll assume things go well for everyone. You'll see opportunities in the world and assume that they will go well, even if they don't sometimes. It's our perspective that we bring to things. And we can say the same thing about training and class and competition. It applies equally everywhere. It applies if you're in the front of the room or the back of the room. If you show up to teach a class and you're having a bad day, you're going to have a bad class, and your students will have a bad class. Because you're going to bring that bad day into them. You are going to be thinking negative thoughts. You're going to be honing in on the things that are not working for them. And that's how it's going to go. But the opposite is also true. If you show up with a good attitude and you're focused on the good things that your students are doing and you're giving them praise, everyone's going to have a much better time. It's simple. It's not easy. Frank, I think you're right. Transcendentalist. I believe that is the collective term for both Henry David Thoreau and, I'm losing my tab. The next one. Oh, they're all Henry David Thoreau. Who's the other one I'm thinking of? Who's the other author? I misread. Wow, it's a long quote. Okay. Simplify your life. Don't waste the years struggling for things that are unimportant. Don't burden yourself with possessions. Keep your needs and wants simple and enjoy what you have. Don't destroy your peace of mind by looking back, worrying about the past. Live in the present. Simplify. You know who wants a lot of stuff? People who don't have stuff. There was a point in my life, for those of you who don't know, I didn't grow up with a lot. And I spent a lot of time early on as I started to make my own money buying things. I went through my 20s buying anything because I could. And I don't mean everything, but I bought a lot of crap, a lot of junk, a lot of stuff from Big Lots, just because it was there and I needed to buy stuff. Finally, I've got that out of my system. It only took 20 years. And I look around at what I have, and most of what I've had for a long time. I buy things that I need. Sometimes I buy things I don't need. Sometimes I buy things that I regret, but not as often. And I think that there's a lesson in there that I don't know how easy it is to learn this lesson unless we learn it ourselves. This idea that, okay, I've now accumulated all these things. There's really nothing left that I need to buy. And really realizing that it doesn't really change how happy you are. It doesn't matter what logo is on the shirt if it's comfortable and it fits you well and it's appropriate for the weather. The only reason you need a super fancy car is if you care about, well, maybe you really care about cars, or maybe you care about the opinions of others. How big of a house do you need? I quite like my house. I like where it is. I like that it costs almost nothing to maintain. Taxes are low. I can spend that money and that time on something else. Jenny says, I spent most of my life not having much. To this day, I still feel bad for spending money. And that's the other end of the extreme, and that's not good either. I still have a little bit of that myself. But the one thing that I remind myself of is I've always had enough money. I can always work and make more money. I can always get another job. Here's a fallback I've never had to play this card, but let's pretend something terrible happened and I really needed to make money, but I didn't want to give up on the things I had. I didn't want to give up on Whistlekick or the consulting work. What would I do? I'd go get a job at UPS. The show wouldn't exist, or I'd have to do it differently. But I'd go make $500 to $600 a week. Wouldn't change the rest of my life, other than I'd have to go to bed earlier. Oh no. I'd live. There's always a way. And when you have that confidence, when you know that that is there, when you know what the backup plan looks like, you can take some risks. We don't get anything without risking something, which is why so many people continue to do the same thing. So many people work a terrible job that they hate because there's risk in going to get another job, because there's a small chance that it's even worse. The new job's worse. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. You can't have growth without change. If you want to have a better job, you have to get a different job. If you want something, you got to put something else in. You can't expect it to just change for no reason. And next. And last for the day. Think for yourself, or others will think for you without thinking of you. I like that. Say it another way. If you don't design your life, if you don't live the life you want to live, truly want to live, you will live the life someone else wants you to live. There are plenty of people who want you to do things their way. Could be the people you work with, work for, could be family, could be spouse, siblings, the government. There's any number of people who want to tell you, here's how you should live your life. How do you want to live your life? If you don't know, maybe spend some time thinking about it. We tend to have these ideas that we can't have things, whether it's physical stuff or the new job or the person or the whatever, that we can't be the version of ourselves we want to be. We can. You absolutely can. Nothing is off the table. Just the more dramatic it is, the more you'll have to risk, the more time you'll have to put in. Is it worth it? For most people, no. That's why they don't change. This is why I ask the question why all the time. Because if you don't have a reason, you won't do it. What's a good example I can pull from my life? My house isn't dirty, but it's a little cluttered right now from last weekend and this coming weekend. Just getting unready and getting ready. I have not put these things away. Doesn't matter to me right now. My why is not significant. But what if I had a friend coming over? I might be a little embarrassed. So I might make the time to put those things away, to clean up my house a little bit, to make it more presentable. That would give me a why, and I would act on that why. So when you find the why do you train? Why do you teach? Why do you compete? If the answer is, oh, I don't know, you're not going to put much into it. If you talk to the people who are the most successful at anything, they have a strong reason why. Ask the people, if you're someone who doesn't win in competition, and there's somebody else that you see around that consistently wins, ask them why they compete. They'll have a reason. They're not going to say, oh, I don't know, it's just something I do. It's something that I really enjoy. It's something that I'm good at. It makes me feel good about myself. It gives me a great reason for training, whatever it is. Their why doesn't have to be your why, but they have one. If their why doesn't work for you, you've got to find one. If you can't find one, you should probably find something else to do. If we spend our times working on the things that really get us fired up, good stuff happens. Most of us live mediocre lives because we don't get in touch with what really sets us on fire. And part of what I love about Martial Arts Radio is that on the Monday episodes, we bring you someone for whom martial arts contributed to what set them on fire. I talked to 3 people on Tuesday, and all 3 of them have different relationships with martial arts. And they took that relationship in 3 different directions. And for all 3 of them, they are incredibly fired up about what they're doing now. And in the case of one person, more so what they did with it in the past. I don't know. They might not let me say that. That would be my suspicion, but it may not be true. Find your why. Simple, not easy. It is that simple. Find your why. Everything else will follow. If you're not sure where your passion is, you haven't found it, because you will know when you find it. Thank you for coming by. Oh, looks like Lilith is joining us. Hello, Lilith. A random sequence of key presses. Jenny says, Lilith says, good morning. Well, thank you, Lilith. Good morning to you. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me here. I will see you tomorrow. There will be a show tomorrow, and I will be out the door shortly thereafter. If you want to support us, remember, you can grab something like this hoodie. And don't forget, because, the hoodie's $70. Free shipping, by the way. as I usually do, and I forgot to do it with the t-shirt that I put out yesterday. I always forget to take off to add the free shipping for every item because there's a back end process I've got to do. But if you ever buy apparel, and we do free shipping in the US for literally everything on the website. We do free shipping globally on apparel. If you ever buy something, go to buy something, and it's going to charge you shipping, I'll refund it. I always do. I did it yesterday for 2 people, the first people who bought until I got to fixing it. But we also have on the website an option, I think it's called 4Pay. So it'll split your payment into 4 equal installments. You might think, is there interest? Yeah, I pay it. I don't get quite as much money when you do that, but I'm fine. If that's what you need to be able to afford a sweatshirt or come to one of our events, I'm cool with that. That's why, obviously, I chose to enable it. We don't have to do it. So have a wonderful day today. I will see you tomorrow for Friday. I got a new mug, and find your why. Take care, everybody.